Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into the Pack-A-Day podcast here on YouTube. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Great show lined up for you today. I'm going to be talking about Darnell Savage, kind of the safety position in this Joe Barry defense, a little bit of the star position. I'm going to be talking about maybe some potential draft prospects at that safety / slot position. So I'm going to bring it all together in a roundabout way. That's my goal, at least today. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But before I do, have to shout out Meg Reyes, who created these awesome shirts. I'm going to pimp it for just a second, just because it's absolutely amazing, because we absolutely need more voices in sports. And if nothing else, the shirt is absolutely amazing. It fits perfect. So had to pimp that out for just a second and give a shout out to Meg Reyes for creating these absolutely amazing shirts. And again, just shouting out the fact that we could always use more voices in sports. Nevertheless, one of my favorite things, a quick tirade here, one of my quick favorite things about the Packer sphere as a whole is that there's always room for everyone's voice. And that's, I just had Peter Bukowski on the Pack-A-Day podcast, and I've been on his Locked On Packers podcast on multiple occasions. Like, those are the two of the biggest Packer podcasts that are out there, and easily could be like, well, I'm not going to support that because that's competition, or vice versa. And it's not. There's plenty of space for everyone. And I love that, even Perry and Maggie can come on and be on the Pack-A-Day podcast, even though they're, their main focus is Pack's What She Said. And it just doesn't matter. Like, there's literally room for everyone within the Packer sphere. And as I always say, you can't create enough Packers content for Packer fans to be satisfied. We have an insatiable thirst for more Packers talk, which is why I created a 365-day-a-year Packers podcast and why I do this 365 days a year on YouTube. So very, very supportive of more voices in that Packer sphere, not less. So love the shirt, Meg. Keep up the great work. Let's get to our main topic today. And I want to start by going over Darnell Savage. And Pete Doherty just did a tremendous article in the Green Bay Press Gazette, or Packers News, about Darnell Savage potentially being one of the key defenders, or the defender in that star position for Green Bay. And this is certainly not the first time this idea has been floated. I know Zach Cruz posted this on Twitter before, and it's definitely been an idea that's been out there in the past. And there's a lot of people that are really, really excited about the potential of Darnell Savage in the slot in that star position. And I'm mostly of the other mindset. I actually love Darnell Savage and what he brings to the safety position. And I think what Green Bay did with him a season ago, playing him a little bit more in the box, playing him as a spy, zone defender, being able to kind of read quarterbacks' eyes, make jumps on the ball, use his athleticism, use his instincts, and not have to always think quite so much. I thought that's where you saw Darnell Savage start to thrive a season ago. And I think this being his third year, I want him to expound upon that in his third season. I don't necessarily want to change things up too much and now make him a primary slot defender, and start looking at what he does well, right? Again, he's best when he's just instinctual making plays. He's best kind of playing in, different zones where he can read quarterbacks' eyes, making jumps on the football, flying sideline to sideline, taking great angles to the ball. Like, that's what he is very, very good at. Now, he can play in the slot. There's no question about that. He did it at Maryland. Just this past season, he played 229 snaps in the slot per Pro Football Focus. The season before, he was at about 230 snaps. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that Darnell Savage cannot play in that position at all, because he unequivocally can. I just don't think that that's ultimately the best use of his abilities. And I think if you primarily play him there, if he's there 65 snaps a game as your true nickel slot corner, I think teams start to, target him more at that position. That 230 snaps in a season, that equates to about 12 to 13 snaps per game. That feels right to me. You can blitz him off the edge on rundowns, which a lot of those were. It wasn't in coverage. A lot of it was him coming off the edge on certain plays, especially later in the season. You can use him in coverage a bit. He can certainly play in zone coverage there. He can do a variety of things for you there. But I think if you start playing him primarily there, teams are going to take very close notice of that, and they're going to start going after him in coverage a little bit more. Now, Savage for a safety is very good in coverage, but you want him more as a zone defender. You want him going sideline to sideline, playing some center field at times. is a straight up man-to-man guy with straight up coverage chops. You're not looking for Darnell Savage to be on some of these shiftier slot receivers. That's not doing anyone any favors. And it should be noted here that in this new style of defense with Joe Barry, the expectation is there's going to be a ton of zone defense. So again, could Darnell Savage play in that slot, play zone defense, be physical against the run, play sideline to sideline and do some of those things? Absolutely. But again, I don't think it's his best suited position as a full-time, every down type of player. Furthermore, I love him in this Joe Barry defense as a safety. So Ross Uglum did a tremendous job breaking this down in the Cheesehead TV draft guide, breaking down exactly what this Joe Barry defense does and what it's going to bring and what it means for each position. And what this defense loves to do is play really light boxes, but play safeties closer to the line of scrimmage than most other teams. And I love that idea. You want your corners to be able to play off a little bit more, play in coverage, make sound tackles. You want to be able to have those spaces on the outside covered. You want to be able to go man-to-man, helmet on helmet up front on the defensive line and with your linebackers. But you want those safeties to be able to come up, scream up if needed, and make efficient, strong tackles. And I love both Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage in that role. I think you bringing them closer to the line of scrimmage is advantageous for Green Bay. And Darnell Savage especially has the ability to scream back in a single high because of his speed and athleticism that you love him in that role. And one of the things that, again, this Vic Fangio, Brandon Staley, Joe Barry defense loves to do is they're playing their safeties, they're up to the line, and then either right before the snap, right at the snap, or like a split second after, you will see the defense change. And what happens at times, especially for the quarterback, is they'll read the defense, right? If you're an Aaron Rodgers and you're reading the defense pre-snap, those safeties are in too high, they're coming up to the line. What most teams are doing in that situation is maybe about 5 seconds before the snap, they're trying to change it up and they're usually giving away some tells. And before the snap, they're doing something. They're going to give the quarterback at least a second to process things. So we've seen this increase in the play action game and in bootlegs and everything like that. So what's happening is the quarterback's taking the snap, he's turning around to do the play action fake or the bootleg, and right as that happens, the safeties are doing something completely unexpected. Maybe it's one safety screaming back to a single high with the other safety coming down in the box. Maybe both of them were showing close to the line of scrimmage and they're both flying back in a cover 2. Maybe they're all going back in a cover 4, but they're not tipping that until a lot of times the quarterback is making their post-snap adjust or their post-snap read, which can be very, very confusing for even the Aaron Rodgers of the world, which he mentioned last season, which is why he thought the Rams defense is one of the tougher ones to prepare for, and especially for younger quarterbacks. That is an entirely different way and an entirely new level of trying to be confusing. Before, everything was pre-snap confusion, but most of the time and normally what teams are doing is trying to get in their spots right at or right before the snap or even a couple seconds before, so they're in those positions. And even if it's right before the snap, then the quarterback can see that as it's developing, and then as he takes his eyes off, he's already processing in his head what happened right at the snap or right millisecond after or pre-snap. But this Brandon Staley and Joe Barry defense, they're even waiting a tick longer so that the quarterback can't process that as he's turning his back to the football. Now, if it's not a play action, they're still doing whatever they're supposed to do. The quarterback still has to react to that in real time. He has better vision on it if he's looking forward, of course, but it's still tough to plan for when you know quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and the veteran quarterbacks in this league want to be able to make those decisions pre-snap of where they're going with the football. And this style of defense doesn't allow you to do that. And again, Darnell Savage is perfect for that. If you need a safety to get from point A to point B and find a spot on the field in a very fast fashion because you're losing time, right? Because as soon as that snap is going, you're in live action. Everything is live at that point, and you need to be able to get exactly where you need to be so that a player like Aaron Rodgers, a Patrick Mahomes, the guys with ridiculous arm talent can't take advantage of you because you're not to your spot yet. So somebody like Darnell Savage has a tremendous upside in that safety type of position because he can get there so quickly. So you're making your read, you take the snap, whether you're doing play action or not, all of a sudden the safety, like a Darnell Savage, is in an entirely different position than you expected, and now you have to react of what you were thinking was going to happen on that play. It almost makes so much of the pre-snap stuff that you're doing a lot of times irrelevant, which is why the Rams had so much success a season ago as a defense. Now, it also creates some of those matchups. Now, we saw the Packers and Matt LaFleur take advantage of some of those situations where you're getting 5-on-5 football, but they're motioning Aaron Jones out at the last minute. The safety has to react to that. And now all of a sudden, A.J. Dillon's getting the ball in a 5-on-5 box with the safety playing a little bit further, having to react to what's going on the outside. Is it going to be a screen to the outside? Is it going to be a handoff to Dillon? And oh, by the way, Devontae Adams needs a safety over the top on him on the other side, because if not, he's going to absolutely murder you. So you have to be insanely careful with how you defend Green Bay, which is why their offense is so damn good. But some of that quick pre-snap stuff can really play to the advantage of the defense, and Darnell Savage fits beyond perfectly in that. So I don't want to see him in that slot position where he's just in a static position and you know where he's going to be both pre and post snap. So that means Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos are going to be your two safeties, and therefore Green Bay doesn't need to look at safety early because those two positions are taken care of. I would say that's wrong. And I'm not saying I expect Green Bay to go safety early, because I don't. And I'm not saying Green Bay should go safety early, because I don't think that, and I don't think they should. But it would not shock me in any way, shape, or form if in their first 100 picks, or certainly with either of their first 2 fourth-round picks, if they did look at another safety/slot defender. And if they decided to go early, there's definitely some names that make sense, whether it be a Trayvon Merrick, whether it be an Elijah Molden, a Javon Holland, a Richie Grant. These are very flexible, versatile defenders in their own right. You take a look at Trayvon Merrick, he played 313 snaps in the slot in his last season, 172 at safety and 198 in the box. Great versatility. Holland, 591 snaps in the slot, 24 at safety, which is actually where most teams project him at the NFL level, and 179 snaps in the box. Elijah Molden, 127 in the slot, 46 at safety, 42 in the box, and certainly a shortened season for him. And then Richie Grant, 144 in the slot, 226 at safety, and 237 in the box. Versatile defenders that can play everywhere. And remember, Adrian Amos, towards the end of last season, started playing some of that nickel and dime linebacker role when Raven Green went out, and looked really, really good doing it. So if you want Adrian Amos to be able to play that position on obvious passing downs, now bringing in another safety who can play that position and do just as well as Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos could provides a lot of versatility. Oh, by the way, we just mentioned that Darnell Savage, we would like to see him in that slot star position, maybe 12, 13 snaps a game. So now you have another reason for one of these safeties to be out on the field. And then again, all of these guys, Merrick, Holland, Molden, Grant, can actually play that star position at times, at minimum, if not full time, in and of themselves. So adding in a versatile defender and a versatile safety piece who could play in the box, could play in the slot, could play at safety, makes a decent amount of sense here for Green Bay, and gives you depth should an Adrian Amos or a Darnell Savage be injured or go out with injury. So having a safety early in one of the first 2 rounds, if they went with one of those players, would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. And last but not least, one of the things that I really like the idea of here is you've got Chandon Sullivan. Let's say you're lining him in the slot, right? You've got Chandon Sullivan in the slot, and he has actually safety versatility. He's played safety. He's practiced safety. He has some safety versatility. Let's say Adrian Amos is playing in the box at a linebacker position. And then you've got Darnell Savage and let's say a Javon Holland as your 2 safeties as you start at snap. You want to play with the quarterback, you could literally rotate the 4 of those guys in any way, shape, or form right before the snap, right after the snap. Like, you probably don't want Amos in the slot too much, but you could all of a sudden rotate, whether it's Holland or, again, any of those other draft picks that I just mentioned, Darnell Savage, Chandon Sullivan, you could rotate any of them into the slot at any moment. You could motion any of them back to safety. You could put any of them in the box. You could blitz any of them. You're getting, in basketball where they say it's like positionless defense, where everyone can just do a little bit of everything. In the defensive backfield, to some extent, in the middle of your field, whether it's slot, box, box safety, any of those, now you've got 4 guys at minimum that can do that sort of stuff. And that is very, very important and can have a lot of versatility for what you're trying to do on defense, especially as you're trying to mess with a quarterback's mentals pre-snap, or post-snap, for example. So that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, I'm going to be right back here tomorrow. So please Hit subscribe if you have not already. Make sure to check out today's audio version of the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go, and go get this shirt. It's amazing.